Hello and welcome to Asia TV in Conversation with Taha, which is a brand new show, and I have someone in the studio who has done some really amazing work in the Middle East. In December, the Iraqi government declared a victory against ISIS, otherwise known as Daesh, in northern Iraq, but many still remain captive. The Yazidi community, a religious minority, was a specific target of ethnic cleansing by the militants. Older men were killed and boys were taken in as soldiers, brainwashed to serve, while the elderly women were seen as invaluable and abandoned. The younger ones were enslaved. The youngest ones were fetching the most value in the eyes of ISIS leaders. 200 of these girls and women have escaped, but 2,000 still remain missing. Aid is one of the few lifelines these women have. Through the sacrifices their families are making and through hard work of charities and non-profit organizations, there is hope as we can catalyze this process of recovery. Today we have Savraj Kaur joining us in the studio. She is a philanthropy and communications consultant specializing in the international non-profit sector. She has just returned from northern Iraq after meeting some of the women we spoke of earlier. She has been volunteering with UK-based charity Khalsa Aid, donating her skills and experience during an unforgettable trip. Thank you very much, Savraj, for coming into the studio, and I hope we can give some really insightful information and enlighten our audience today about what's happening in Iraq and to this Yazidi community. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Thank you for having me first. So myself, I was born in London, brought up in London. I am of Indian origin. And essentially my whole life I've really always been concerned about those who are marginalized, those who are vulnerable, and I've kind of dedicated my education and my career to that. So no matter what I was doing, it was always focused on how can we use this topic to help the most vulnerable. And my most recent master's was in disasters and development at King's College. So yeah, so it's quite a nice backdrop for what I've been doing.
And have you been traveling as a child too, or were you always in the UK?
Based in the UK, but I have actually been to more than 50 countries. So traveling for various reasons, whether it's volunteering, building my experience, whether it's just out of interest. So that's definitely helped me become more kind of aware of the nuances in the world.
That's really good. That's really good. So how did you get involved with Khalsa Aid, and what was the reason for getting involved with them?
So I've been in touch with Khalsa Aid, the founder Ravi Singh, who's an incredible man, since my master's. So it was since about 2010 or 11, and I'd made myself available to help them in any way. And they are a very small organization, so I kind of pestered him for a few years, and and then essentially I've kept in touch. I've always offered my skills, but what's different this time around is I've kind of come to them as a professional and offered my services as well as my time.
That's really good. That's really good. Now, I picked up something you said. Khalsa Aid is really small, but at the same time they're so big, and they are the first ones to reach crisis situation. Like they were in Bangladesh, the first one to reach the Rohingya Muslims. So how does that happen? How many people actually work for them? How many volunteer for them? That'll be interesting for us to know. Yeah,
so it's got its pros and cons being small. One of them is it is a small team. A lot of the money is directly going to the work. However, the benefit of being small is that if you keep your team, close to you, professional, you can really get out there and make a big impact sooner. There's less bureaucracy. There's more kind of like, there's something happened an hour ago. How are we going to fix this and get there tomorrow? Whereas we've had a lot of feedback where we're often the first in a situation on the ground and actually helping, where the others are still getting organized, these sort of big names that you hear every day.
So the Khalsa Aid is the first one to reach any crisis situation.
Yeah, that's definitely been some feedback.
And you guys are also active in Canada?
Yes, so one of the biggest supporter base is in Canada, and we also work in Canada as well. So there are a number of locations across the globe, and where the Indian diaspora is big, that's big.
So Khalsa Aid will be present wherever Indians are then?
The support definitely is, and not just Indians. So we've got amazing support from Pakistanis, just people who'd never heard of a Sikh before. This is how they find out about Khalsa Aid.
That is an amazing concept, I must say. So let's move on to our next question. Then tell us a bit more about your recent trip to Iraq. What did you do as a part of the Khalsa Aid team?
So I was in northern Iraq assisting Kanwar Singh, who is one of the lead organisers and coordinators for Khalsa Aid, a full-time member of staff.
Okay.
What we were doing is coordinating three things. So food aid,
right.
Aid for people with very young children, so things like nappies, formula milk.
Okay.
And then the third thing was shopping trips.
Right.
So I was an extra pair of hands, and I ended up taking on another role, which was when I heard of the story about women going shopping, I thought this is incredible.
Wow.
It's an incredible good news story. Post-war, we usually don't hear what happens.
True.
So this is an amazing kind of just an example of the various ways and the almost creative entrepreneurial ways that aid agencies can help and really better the lives of others. So I'm just going to show you how things get handed out. Got Susan here, the lady here. She's reading out names of whoever needs to collect. So I'm just going to show you one pack we've got. So we've got sugar, rice, oil, salt, pasta.
You were a part of Project Dignity while you were there. Are there any stories you would like to share with us through that experience of yours?
Yeah. So we're taking 200 girls and young women shopping, and of course everyone has a story, and a few of them spoke to me.
Okay.
So rather than me just telling you now what they said to me, I can tell you word for word. So we've had this translated from Kurdish,
okay.
and I can give you the stories of Layla and Hannah. Layla's a little bit of an older woman.
Okay.
She's about 35,
right.
and she was captured and has escaped. And then Hannah is actually still a girl. She's 15, and just came back a couple of months ago.
So would you like to tell us, tell our audience about these two women and their stories?
Yeah, okay. So Layla. I had a family of 5. It was me, my husband, and 4 children. When ISIS attacked Wadia, we escaped to the mountain, but then we were captured. It was all of us. We were taken to Tal Afar for 8 months, then a month in Mosul. They took my husband and sons to the mosque one day. Me and my daughter were taken to Syria for exactly 4 months and 18 days. We contacted my relatives when we were there, but found out they were charging $30,000 for our release. In Syria, we were in a room full of women. We didn't have more than 1 meal a day, and this was only rice or bread with eggs. Nothing else any day. After 1 month in Syria, a man bought us to be his slaves. When I was a slave, I cleaned this man's house. He had a wife and 2 children, but his wife got jealous and she refused it. She told him to sell me in Aleppo. I remember being sold, but I don't know if it was a market. We had our eyes covered. So many men came and took my blindfold off to check my eyes. Then they checked papers with my name and the phone number to buy me. I was bought by a man. He had a wife too, but she was not there. He bought 2 of us, and I was forced to marry him too. He rented a house. The other woman was Muslim. ISIS ended up selling me for the $30,000 in the end. My family got the money together. I got back to Kurdistan 1 year ago. I still don't know where my husband is, but I know my young boys were brainwashed and joined the militants. Layla had attempted suicide with her daughter before her return, then found out that Baba Sheikh, Yazidi religious leader, accepted her and the other escapees back to the community. Shopping for fabric made me feel good because I can sew as work. My husband is still captured, so I can work and support my family. Today is a great opportunity. Life before ISIS was really fun. I was happy with my family. I went to school and had great friends. Only some of them are with me now. I've lost many friends too. I used to go to parties and weddings. It was really fun. We knew ISIS was coming in 2014. We tried to run to the mountain, but we didn't make it. We got captured. After ISIS took me, I saw a lot. I have been beaten. I have been raped. I saw people get killed in front of me. ISIS used to get a whip and use it on us. I saw a lot and I suffered a lot. My feelings were worse than anything you can imagine. I missed my family. I was the only one there and they didn't let me speak to my family. On the liberation of Tal Afar, I got the chance to run away. I saw another family running and I just ran with them too. We got to a safe place and I called my brother. I always memorized his number. Today I had a lot of fun. I didn't have this opportunity when I was in ISIS's hands. After 3 years, I finally had the chance to shop again. It was fun to shop with my friends and Khalsa Aid. When I was in ISIS's hands, all I had to wear was black from my shoes to my head, and they would bring it home to me. But today, I had the opportunity to go shopping again and choose from all colors.
Those are some hard-hitting stories, and these are just two we've heard today.
Yeah.
I can imagine how many stories like this are there in northern Iraq today, and it breaks my heart to learn that girls as young as 15 years have to suffer this kind of cruelty at the hands of ISIS. God save them. So this seems like it was the most hands-on experience you've been a part of. Did that change your perspective about the work you do in any way?
Yeah, so this is the first aid organization I've worked with. The development world is huge. There's a lot that people are working on. The difference with this and the reason it was more hands-on is because it was reacting. It was reacting to quite an urgent situation, going out there fast, helping these ladies fast, and just kind of, I guess, being just a drop in their recovery process. You know, it's a big process. I think it's really given me an appreciation of how much a small charity can do in such short time with such limited resource. But it's also been an honor to help and see the reaction that we're getting from people like you, the general public. Everyone loves a good story, and this is just like one of the best one we've heard in years out of the region. So
right, yeah. I can well appreciate the work you and Khalsa Aid has done in this part of the world. So you have been volunteering with Khalsa Aid. What does that entail? I mean, what is it exactly that you've done? What is it that Khalsa Aid has done? How does the whole project work?
So initially I was asked to go as a volunteer to Iraq, and I happily agreed. And the idea was that I go to assist one of their full-time professionals in coordinating the aid, and as we said, being hands-on.
Right.
When I knew the project I was working on, it was a real delight. I knew that it was an amazing story to be celebrated. And so I offered my professional skills, so storytelling, reaching out to the press, the media, and telling the world not only the amazing work that's happening, but this amazing community that's coming back and starting from scratch. Right. I mean, everything I could do, I was there. I was, social media, dealing with journalists, giving interviews, coming back and giving interviews. So I'm, glad that I could help professionally as well.
So great! I mean, great work, great work. Just I don't have words to explain how good a deed you've been doing. And I'm sure you know that now that you've been to Iraq, and there will be hassles. And I wanted to ask you, did you find any hassles with the immigration when you came back from northern Iraq at all? Yeah.
So. The route that we had taken, my colleague and I, was via Turkey.
Okay.
So that's quite, I think, a notorious route, and the region still is a hot spot politically. Okay. And the fighting is not yet over. Okay. So anyone who voluntarily goes to the region is probably being watched by the authorities, and then various authorities internationally collaborate with each other, and it did turn out that on our arrival back to London, we were questioned, we were held and questioned. It was an easier process than I had imagined. So they knew a lot already. So whatever they asked, they knew the answers. And they had explained, what I had just told you. It's a hot region of the world. they need to know what we were doing there, where we came, you know, what we've come back with, what our story is. But they had already done their research on us. So intelligence.
Intelligence had done their bit. So that brings me on to this, that I know you do some work in the US as well. And now that you have to go to the US, you'll have to get a visa. You can't fly on the ESTA program, can you?
Yeah. So, I've used ESTA for a long time, and I actually collaborate. One of my creative partners for another project is American.
Okay.
So we meet often, and we do various exhibitions there, and it's for different kind of humanitarian storytelling projects.
Right.
So that is a sacrifice I had to make, you know, when I knew I was going to this region, which is under scrutiny. It may affect how I access other work, especially in the United States.
Right.
But that is a sacrifice I chose to make.
Right, but then, do you think this is going to be an obstacle in your career, or have you faced any other obstacles in your career progression? You know, could be personal, or could be about professional obstacles. Tell me more about that part of your life.
I mean, the visa is really not a big problem for me, and also it's the first time as a British citizen I faced a problem with visas. Usually, everything's just a breeze. Right. And just as anyone else does, I've faced my challenges professionally, work-wise, and overcome them to be where I am. I'd say the most notable and one that will always be with me is I had actually suffered for a few years from a brain tumor and got operated on 2013. Okay. And it was a big risk to my life, the whole operation. It was, you know, I dealt with it better than I expected, but it's hard, not just for me, family, friends, everyone. But there is one thing that came out of it which kind of affirmed the type of work I do, and if I really want to help those who are vulnerable, and that was the service I received. Okay. I did realise it is definitely a postcode lottery in the world. True. I happen to be in West London, you know, one of the best neurological hospitals in the world is just a few miles away down the road. Okay. It's like, you know, one road away. Right. And I had access not only to private healthcare, but the same surgeon would give me my operation on the NHS. Wow. And this is like privilege, you know, handed to me even in the worst situation in my life. And this is something that not everyone in the world can access. And I know that I'm just doing my little bit to try and make sure that more people have a fairer chance in life, as I did. Yeah. So give everyone a fair chance to live. Human beings are human beings, not animals. Even animals deserve a fair chance to live, and we all hope so. Yeah. So that brings me on to the next question. What projects are you involved in at the moment, and where do you see yourself heading now? So I'm still involved with Khalsa Aid, and I know I'll remain involved with the plight of the Yazidi women when they return, and try and promote their cause even further. Okay. Maybe that I extend my range within Khalsa Aid to work on other projects as well. And continue to offer my skills, as well as with those who are clients outside of Khalsa Aid. So I think the one thing that brings everything I do together is storytelling. It's giving a voice to people, like the girls' voices. I just kind of, you know, word for word narrated exactly, and I think that's important. So it's not about just going out. It's not about just handing out something to someone who's in need and taking a few pictures. It's about telling the story, because I think that's how you change the world. You tell the story and you help people understand what's going on, not just know what's going on. So I think that's my role. And I have a small consultancy I'm starting, so I can work with various organizations and help them tell their stories as well and touch people's hearts. That's very good. Yeah. So how can people get in touch with you regarding your consultancy work? My website, savrajkaur.com, savrajkaur.com. That's good. Yeah. Okay. So I hope the audience has noted the web URL, and they will get in touch with you from there on. Yeah, you're more than welcome. Which brings me on to the point with how can people who are watching this program donate to Khalsa Aid or to anything that you're doing? What's the best way of donation, and what's the best way to get it to the right people who need the money? So similarly, Khalsa Aid's website, khalsaaid.org.
Okay.
It's easy to read more about the project and then find the donate link there.
Okay.
What makes it easy for everyone is that there are guidelines on wherever you are in the world how best to donate. So channels are open wherever you are watching from. But I'd also like to add, every penny counts, every penny goes to an amazing cause, and we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow and where the next one will go.
True.
So that's what's really special. You know, you're really being part of world events.
Right.
But it's not only about money. Like I said, tell the story, help raise awareness, tell people about the Yazidi community. Where you can, you might want to hold an event. I don't know, if you're a school kid watching this, you might want to do something with your school, invite a speaker from Khalsa Aid, faith groups. There's so many people we can work with, university groups, and I think everyone adds value in their own way.
Right.
So don't just do things, do something that makes you excited too.
Right,
yeah.
right. And make the world a better place to live for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So guys who are watching us out there, get in touch with Savraj, get in touch with Khalsa Aid, and try and get involved, not just to donate money, donate things, but try and take them to the institutions where you work or where you study or where you go to pray. And let people know, let the larger community know what good work is being done by Khalsa Aid, by Savraj, and help the people in need. There are a lot of people out there in the world who really need our support, need not just our money, they need someone to talk to, they need someone to cry on. So, you know, lend your shoulder to them. On that note, I'll say thank you very much. Donate heartily, donate healthily, and thank you for watching our show. And Savraj, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.